Carl Frampton, Scott Quigg. It's an interesting one. It's talked about as one of the super fights. You know, you've got Calm Brook, Frost Groves, these sort of names banded, and you'll hear Quigg, Frampton thrown in. Quigg's a good fighter. He holds a version, albeit a debatable version, of the world title. He's an exceptional body puncher, and he's a solid guy. But what I don't get in this fight is I watch a lot of YouTube channels, I get involved in a lot of boxing discussions, and I want to know who out there views this as a competitive fight. Who out there is picking Scott Quigg in this matchup? I mean, let's be honest, Scott Quigg, yeah, he can hit hard, he's got good body shots, but the guy has not fought anyone like the level of opposition Frampton has. And even in his victories and in his fights, he hasn't looked anywhere near as devastating as Frampton has. I mean, Quigg's been involved in draws, he's been involved in sort of 12-round snooze fests. Frampton's looking pretty good at the minute. I must say, I'm really impressed by Carl Frampton. He looked a really well-rounded fighter. He hits very hard, he's slick, he's got excellent and really underrated boxing technical skills. He's a good mover, and he's a destructive force, a real destructive force. Quigg, I know he's not an exciting fighter to watch in the same way Frampton is. I know he hasn't got the personality and the fan following that Frampton does. But let's put that aside for 1 second. We've seen Quigg lose, as I say, be involved in many draws. We've seen him drop a lot of rounds. Does anyone out there actually fancy Scott Quigg to beat Carl Frampton? Does anyone out there actually fancy Scott Quigg to knock Frampton out? Does anyone out there fancy Scott Quigg to take 7 out of 12 rounds against Carl Frampton? I want to see the fight. Frampton, although I'm increasingly a fan of him, he hasn't fought the very best of the division. Now, that's not his fault. The best fighter he's been in with is probably Kiko Martinez. He hasn't fought the Rigondos, the Quiggs, the Santa Cruzes. There are big fights that need to be had before we consider Carl Frampton a pound-for-pound fighter, let's say. So whilst I want to see these fights in order to see how good Frampton is, I'm interested in gauging opinion here. To me, and this is a big statement, if Frampton and Quigg fought 5 times, I find it hard to see Quigg winning one of those fights. The only way it foreseeably happens is Quigg really busts up Frampton with those body shots. But to me, Carl Frampton is quite defensively sound. He's also got really good movement to kind of avoid taking punishment like that. And I must admit, at this stage, I'm not sure I see this as a competitive fight. Let me know your thoughts on this. How do you see the fight going? Thanks for watching.